After finding a mysterious mask, a young man gains the skills of a WWE wrestler, which he decides to use to win a wrestling championship in order to help his family financially. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, The Main Event, from 2020. On an official wrestling mat, a teenager called Leo Thompson pushes off the ring ropes and lands a blow on a muscular fighter. After that, he jumps off the guardrail and throws an elbow strike, then immobilizes the guy with a leg lock, who loses the fight to a child. In fact, the fight was part of a dream of Leo's, who wakes up after his grandmother Denise tickles his feet. Later, the young man goes to school and meets his friends Caleb and Riaz on the way. The boys are thinking of taking part in the wrestling championship that will be held at the school, but young Thompson doesn't want to get involved as he prefers the WWE. However, the conversation is interrupted when a group of bullies push the boy. In addition, the lunatics knock over all of Leo's material and make fun of his drawing. The school principal, known as Miss Cartwright, gives the group a warning and summons them to her office for a meeting. At lunchtime, Leo spills all his noodles on his own clothes while he's distracted by a girl called Erica, with whom he's in love. When he left class, the young man was interrupted again by a group of boys, but the principal stopped them once more. Without thinking twice, the young Thompson rides off on his bike, but his opponents chase him and catch up with his speed. Along the way, a car pulls out in front of the group, which slows them down a little. In this way, the young man manages to reach a house full of people, and the other boys continue to chase him even inside the house. On the other hand, Leo manages to get into one of the rooms, which is a warehouse for fighting tools. At that moment, the boy is forced to hide quickly because his enemies are knocking on the door, and just as they are about to find him, a gentleman appears to stop them and expels the people from the place. Soon after, Leo goes through the cupboards in the room and finds a wrestler's mask. The equipment stinks, but he takes a deep breath and tries to put the mask on, only to be interrupted by the man in charge. At the same moment, Leo tells him that he has found a fighting mask that stinks a lot, so the man decides to give it to the young man as a present. While the boy is watching a fight on TV with his grandmother, his father, Steve, comes home. They then discuss how every fighter has his weakness, like Jimmy Uso, who has a strong temper and always attacks his opponent without thinking, losing several fights. On television, WWE's biggest star appears to make an announcement about a wrestling championship. The winner will be the NXT superstar, and the fights will take place in Fallbridge, the city where Leo lives. The two finalists will face off in a steel cage. In addition, whoever wins will get a contract with Next and a $50,000 cash prize. Leo then tries to find out more about his mother, but Steve changes the subject and pretends he's going to do something else, because Rachel has gone away and left her son alone to marry someone else, which makes the boy's father uncomfortable. Denise plans to spend a few days at her grandson's house, as Steve needs to work hard to pay off his debts to the bank, since he owes them $20,000. In his room, Leo puts on his wrestling mask and starts speaking in the voice of a real man, so he realizes there's something strange and removes the equipment. He talks to himself in the mirror and realizes that there is a lot of energy in his body, so he jumps up and does a somersault, which causes his closet to fall down. At the same moment, he stretches out his arm and manages to hold onto the furniture with just one finger. The boy tests his strength by doing exercises such as bench presses, lifting cars, and accidentally tearing his favorite shirt. Later, he goes to the backyard and has an argument with a tree, which is broken in half after he throws a powerful kick at it. Leo starts researching legendary fighting masks and finds a legend about the equipment he won. The story goes that the mask has mystical powers, and it decides who is worthy of using its powers. What's more, it was last seen 50 years ago. At school, Leo comes across Trevor and his henchmen, who attack his best friend. He then holds up the mask and confronts the boys, who are not intimidated by his presence. The young man turns off the light and hits the group of people. When the lights come back on, all the boys are hanging in the school lockers. Faced with this situation, Miss Cartwright summons Leo to the principal's office. Afterwards, Steve seeks him out at school and questions why he took on 3 boys at once, since he could have been hurt in the fight. At the same time, it is revealed that Samson was the first competitor to sign up for the wrestling championship, and Leo's friends believe that he will defeat all the wrestlers. The next day, the boy puts on his mask and tries to sign up for the championship. The receptionist asks him if he's too young to take part in the competition, but nevertheless accepts the boy, who signs up under his nom de guerre, Kid Chaos. The boy is then confronted by a huge man who won't let him sit down, but another guy called Smooth Operator gives Leo a seat. Just as the presenter is making his introduction, he is interrupted by Sansao, who breaks a chair trying to sit down, as he is too heavy, and this draws the attention of the whole audience. The championship begins with the barrel throw, in which Samson manages to throw 2 at once, but Leo throws his with such force that the object goes through the wall and hits a car in the parking lot. The next test is the beating of the dummy and the test of skill, in which they jump and throw blows at a mattress in the ring. Kid Sao's jumps from one end of the fighting arena to the other, which impresses the audience. Smooth Operator is the second to last to be chosen to take part in the championship. The official team is about to choose the last finalist, and Leo is waiting for his name to be called. Later that night, Kid Chaos sneaks into his room through the window. However, he is startled when he realizes that his grandmother has been waiting in the dark for him to arrive. The boy explains to Denise that he can win the championship and use the prize money to help his father pay off the house debts. After that, Leo and his friends study in the school library, and the young man realizes that Erica, the girl he likes, is nearby. The boys insist that he tries to talk to the girl, so Kid Chaos puts on his mask and talks to her while hiding behind a shelf. During the conversation, the two agree to study together sometime or talk on the phone, which gets Leo excited. The first championship match begins, and the winner is a woman called Leslie, who defeats Big Man. Smooth Operator also beats his opponent, and Samson finishes off his enemy with a single powerful blow. Kid Chaos prepares to enter the ring. The cowboy charges at the boy, who ducks under him. Then the man begins to roll him over his body. Faced with this, the boy attacks the man in the neck, but receives a surprise blow and is then immobilized on the ground. However, Leo manages to push him over the top, and just as he's about to celebrate his victory, the cowboy manages to tie Kid Chaos up with the lasso and spins him around the arena. However, when the man gets distracted, Kid manages to remove the restraints from his body and strikes the guy with the rope. He then runs around the ring and quickly wraps the lasso around his opponent, so that he is easily immobilized, and Leo knocks him to the ground. Kid lands an elbow as a final blow and wins the fight. The next day, Leo is in his room and his grandmother calls him downstairs. There he is surprised to see that Erica is waiting for him. She confesses that she didn't manage to call, and that's why she arrived by surprise. The boy feels nervous and returns to his room, where he thinks about what to do at that moment. He looks at the mask and puts it in his bag. When he returns to the living room, Leo talks to Erica and makes up an excuse to go to the kitchen, where he puts on his mask. Kid Chaos tries to impress the girl by talking to her while hiding behind the fridge, but the young woman goes into the kitchen and surprises him. At the same moment, he removes the mask and throws it into the freezer. Even so, the girl can smell the equipment, and Grandma Denise says it smells of her cheap perfume. In the next championship fight, Kid Chaos will face Stinkface. Leo dodges his opponent's blows and becomes nauseous after realizing that the man is all sweaty. During the battle, Stinkface uses his opponent's weak point. He smears sweat on the boy's face and he falls to the ground. The man begins to struggle towards the young man, who reacts and goes under the guy. However, the man lets out a powerful fart that causes him to be thrown out of the ring. Leo holds on and manages to get momentum back and knocks his foe to the ground. When it comes to immobilizing Stinkface, the boy decides to do it using his own feet because he doesn't want to get close to the man's stench. The next day, Steve interrupts his son and asks how his friendship with Erica is going, and the boy tries to change the subject by asking about his mother. At the same moment, his father tries to talk about something else. Later, in the cafeteria, Leo's friends try to guess who Kid Chaos is and suggest that it could be Kevin Hart, but one of them says that the actor is too short and the wrestler is as tall as the young Thompson, who chokes at the same moment. The group of hooded boys come up and question why Erica is hanging out with those losers, and the girl replies that they are her companions. Seconds later, a guy comes up pointing a gun at the waitress, so all the customers hide under the table. At that moment, Leo takes the magic mask out of his bag and reveals Kid Chaos' true identity to his friends. The boy throws some gooey food in the man's face, and then continues to shoot food and objects from the kitchen, which makes the bandit fall. Leo then drags him over the counter and throws him out of the establishment, where he breaks a table with the impact of the fall. Meanwhile, Denise tells Steve to tell her the whole truth about the mother of his child, since he believes she's still coming back. At school, Leo greets several students and becomes more popular, but the group of boys starts to keep an eye on him. In the garage at home, Steve finds an iron smashed in half and wonders who did it, not knowing that his own son has that strength. During the semifinals of the championship, a fighter called Leslie faces Samson. She throws several blows at the insane man, but he throws her to the ground and easily immobilizes her, thus winning the fight. In the last semifinal of the championship, Leo will face his friend Smooth Operator. When the kid is about to enter the ring, he slips and fumbles as something seems to be stuck to his shoe, which is slippery. Smooth asks him if he's okay, but the boy decides to continue the fight anyway. As a result, Leo is thrown out of the ring within seconds. At that moment, the boy realizes that someone has sabotaged his shoe by putting goo on the sole. His opponent throws the young fighter back into the ring and jumps on him with all his might. However, before he can be immobilized, the boy pushes Smooth up and the man comes back trying to hit him. Kid Chaos dodges all the blows and then lifts the guy up with his hands. The young man throws him into the air and then jumps up and elbows him, managing to pin him to the ground and winning the fight. Before celebrating, the boy takes the microphone and tells the audience that Smooth is a good man and is not responsible for sabotaging his shoes. Leo arranges with his friends to take part in the school talent show after the press conference, but he doesn't realize that Samson's agent is spying on everything and even discovers that he's just a boy wearing a magic mask. During the press conference, Samson breaks a table using his own arm, which leaves the audience perplexed. Frankie, the fighter's agent, provokes Leo, who does the same to Sanction, who gets angry and gets up from the table to attack the young man, but the security guards stop him. After the interview is over, the boy is invited to take part in a photo shoot, even if he has to be at the talent show with his friends. At school, Erica worries as all the guests begin to arrive in the audience, except Leo, who is still at the photo shoot. Faced with this situation, the girl asks the principal to put her presentation last on the list, as she is still waiting for her partner. All the performances take place, and when Erica enters the stage, she is forced to dance alone. However, Caleb, one of Leo's colleagues, decides to go on stage and take part in the girl's performance, which surprises everyone. Afterwards, Thompson rushes into the school and realizes that everyone is already leaving. He apologizes for being late, but says he tried to leave the press conference as soon as possible. However, all his friends saw in the video that he was having fun, which disappoints them greatly. When he picks up his bike in the parking lot, Leo notices that it's all dented and the group of bullies come to torment him. The next day, the young Thompson approaches his schoolmates and apologizes. He says that he let his success outweigh his consideration for the group. The boys accept the boy's forgiveness. Later, Steve arrives home and can't find his son or Grandma Denise, so he goes to the boy's room, where he sees a photograph in which his ex-wife was still present in the family. During the championship, Leo changes in the changing room and is surprised by Frankie and Samson, but Denise doesn't let them get close. The agent reveals that he knows the boy's true identity, managing to distract him while the wrestler goes behind the cabinet and changes the mask of power for another piece of equipment without anyone noticing. Soon after, Samson is the first to enter the steel cage for the final fight against Kid Chaos. Leo enters the cage ready to win, without realizing that he is wearing a mask with no power whatsoever. Before the match begins, Sheamus, a wrestler who is a WWE superstar, is invited to take part as a judge. Meanwhile, Steve is watching the championship on television, unaware that his son is Kid Chaos. When the fight begins, Leo receives a kick that throws him away, yet his opponent continues to attack him. On the other hand, Kid Chaos manages to dodge and tries to land a blow with his feet, but the man remains as still as a statue. He tries one more time, but nothing happens, as if the boy has run out of steam because he's wearing the wrong mask. Leo then grabs the giant man's leg, who manages to throw him with force. Samson shows that the real mask is in his pocket, so Kid Chaos removes the fake equipment and everyone finds out who he really is. At that moment, Steve and the group of delinquents were stunned by the revelation. At the same time, the man tries to put on the magic mask, but it doesn't fit his head because it's too big. In this way, he steps on the mask and throws it up into the air, which causes the object to get stuck in the top of the cage. The boy drops the fake mask and tries to talk to his opponent, but he doesn't want to talk and tries to attack him. Leo keeps talking and Samson won't leave him alone with his attacks. The judge tries to stop the attack, but he's not strong enough against the fighter. The man continues to attack and throws the boy into the air, and Leo is quickly trapped in the cage. At that moment, the referee stopped the fight, but Samson attacked him too, without caring about the penalties he would receive. Now Leo is preparing to capture the mask, but his enemy is trying to stop him. After worrying about his son, Steve shows up at the championship and walks through the audience to get to the cage. However, he tries to help Leo and shows that his opponent has a weakness, which is his fear of heights. The guy looks down and feels a sudden dizziness that sends him plummeting to the ground. At that moment, the boy manages to catch the mask, but decides not to put it on and throws it out of the steel cage, where he can't reach it. Leo then decides to jump from his height and strikes a blow at the giant. The young man immobilizes his opponent and the referee starts the countdown to victory. So Kid Chaos wins the fight with his own skills without using the magic mask. Before celebrating his first victory, Leo decides to choose his successor. He takes the microphone and invites Smooth Operator to the stage. However, everyone is taken by surprise when Frankie storms the stage in a state of rage. The man fumbles and falls, but says that the victory check belongs to him. At that moment, Grandma Denise knocks him to the ground and then delivers a blow that throws him out of the ring. 2 weeks later, at school, Leo faces Trevor, his biggest rival, and doesn't even use the magic mask to get his powers. Finally, a famous wrestler called Kofi greets the boy, which impresses his grandmother. The boy then promises his idol that he will join the WWE in 10 years. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.